we all doing on this lovely Wednesday evening? Welcome to Around the Scene, presented to you by Playing with Rockets. I am your host, Perino, and joining me on the podcast today is the man who pulls all the strings behind the scenes here at PWR. It is, in fact, the mythical, the lovely Eldino. How you doing, man?
Doing all right. How are you?
I'm doing good, thank you. We've taken, a couple weeks off on the show, and last time we were on the show, I said, right before Christmas, I said it was going to be a quiet 2 weeks of Rocket League news. I think I was mistaken.
Maybe a little bit.
Maybe just a little bit. But guys, if you didn't know, this is episode number 35 of Around the Scene. We are here every single Wednesday for you to get your fix on all things Rocket League. If you like this, be sure to give us a follow or sub on Twitch, YouTube, or your podcast service of choice. We can do subscribers on Spotify. We can get those 5-star ratings on iTunes. We can get those listeners on Google Play. Wherever you listen, we are there. If you want to consider supporting the show, you can do that by kicking us a buck over on patreon.com/playingwithrockets. The only way to be a part of the show live is if you join us here on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/playingwithrockets. You can post questions and topics there in chat. We may not talk to all of you all of the time, but we will do our best. Once again, we'd also like to thank our Patreon producers for the month of January. Those are Father of Five and Neo. Thank you for being continuous and lovely sponsors of the show. And the last housekeeping item we have, I promise, I would just like to send out a special congratulations to the winner of our RLCS Season 8 World Championship Prediction Contest. That is Nate Dogg. He correctly predicted NRG to win the whole thing, and he was pretty good in those group stages too. We had a few upsets here and there, but he managed to get the most points out of everyone that participated. So again, congratulations to Nate Dogg. His predictions were very good. And thank you for everyone who participated. It was a good time. Dino, are you ready to talk about some roster moves?
Where to start?
Well,
we've got a few.
We have more than a few. I figure the best way to do this, again, there hasn't really been any major news in the scene. It has pretty much exclusively been roster stuff. So I'm thinking what we'll do, so we'll start at the RLCS, talk about all the stuff that's gone up there, and just sort of work our way down through the scene.
All right.
So our first item in the roster shuffle, I had to throw it in there, sorry. Memory is moved to inactive on the Ghost Gaming roster. This is a spot that has not been confirmed to have been filled by anyone yet. Eldino, what do you think of Memory being benched on this Ghost roster?
I'm surprised that the bench was the move. I figured he probably would have been bought out by somebody. I'm not really surprised though, because with First Killer coming into RLCS and all the other free agents from this offseason, I'm not surprised that Memory's getting replaced.
Yeah, I was a little surprised that it was Memory on Ghost. I don't know. I think they did okay, but then to have them not qualify for LAN was a real struggle, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, it'll be interesting to see who they get. Do you think it is going to be First Killer?
I'm not entirely sure. I could see First going there, but I'm not sure that with Atomic and Illusion he'd really fit in too well. I could definitely see maybe Mist going there, but there's definitely a lot of options for them.
Yeah, and I have to think that the options are still open for Memory too. I mean, at the end of the day, he's still a really good player.
Definitely.
But, for now, I think it'll just be interesting to see where he ends up and, where he goes. So, we're going to let's keep it in NA. Actually, I'm just gonna mark them off.
Okay.
Like, again,
Yep.
we're looking at our list, and there are so many roster moves that we have, guys. I'm not kidding. There must be 20 items here. I'm not, like, seriously, 20. So I'm just gonna highlight the ones as we go through them, and that way we know that we talked about them. If I can find the highlight color, there we go. So next big news. This one just coming in hot today. Hot off the press, AJ from Rogue has left. He will be joining the Pittsburgh Knights as Mist is moved to inactive. So currently, Rogue is without AJ. They'll have an open spot with Crow and Wonder. Meanwhile, the Knights roster for this season will be Reddles, Gyro, AJ. Wow.
This was a huge surprise for me. I mean, I knew Mist leaving wasn't going to be all too surprising, but I didn't think AJ was going to be able to get out of Rogue.
Yeah, I thought it was interesting as well that it was AJ. A lot of people had speculated perhaps that it was going to be Wonder if anyone was leaving Rogue. I was weirdly surprised initially, but the more that I think about it, the more I think this is actually a beneficial move for AJ.
Oh, yeah, I definitely agree. This is definitely a step up for AJ, but I'm just surprised that Rogue let AJ go, because I'm assuming he was still under contract at the point that he left.
He may have been bought out. I mean, the Knights...
Yeah, he definitely could have been bought out since they're backed by the Steelers. But
exactly. The Knights have some money behind them, and then, you know, it wouldn't surprise me, but you know that those Rogue contracts, they got to be pretty spicy, you know? Because Rogue's a big org as well. And then, again, so on the flip side of that move, we now have Mist, who earlier was rumored to be going to Cloud9. That seems to no longer be the case, and instead, he is just benched for the moment. I think it's an interesting spot for Mist in particular. Do you think that he ends up leaving as well?
I hope so for him, because he can definitely compete at this level. And with Ghost still having a third that they need, and Rogue and RGB, there's definitely spots where he can fill in.
Yeah, that's the thing. I look at the free agent class in North America right now, like currently as of the point of recording this, it's pretty strong. I mean,
definitely.
There are really good players. Mist, Memory, and First Killer all out there looking, to take those spots. That is a really strong free agent class. So I think most of the teams who have a spot open should at least feel okay about picking one of these guys up.
Oh, definitely.
Yes, and Flair saying in chat, AJ is a good move. Yeah, I tend to agree. I think it helps him out. I think it might bring the Knights up to that next level. It'll be interesting to see how he fits with their playstyle. But yeah, it's a very positive move for AJ. And I like AJ. I think he's a really good player too. And I think it can be hard when you're on a team that consistently doesn't get that many wins in RLCS. Like, that can be very draining as a player. And then, yeah, you have any final thoughts on AJ to Pittsburgh Knights?
Nope. All
right, then we will move on to the next one. Let's see. Do we have any other North American RLCS? Again, nope. We have a whole thing of it. All right, so we're good on North American RLCS for now. Let's take a hop across the pond and let's talk about European RLCS, because the biggest news, I think, that has caused a bit of a chain reaction, Scrubkilla is no longer a part of Team Vitality. This was shocking.
It wasn't too shocking for me.
Really? You don't think so?
Well, The rumors did come out early saying that it was looking like he was going to get removed because they did want to go all French. And from other esports, going all French does tend to be a thing that they like to do. Not necessarily Vitality, but G2 and Envy back in CSGO, they did like to go all French. It's not too surprising. After their World Championship performance, I was surprised. I figured they weren't going to make it back to the finals, but after that, I did think that they were going to stick together again. But
Yeah, again, for me, it's hard to make that sort of decision when the results are there, you know? You have a team that just won RLCS last season and finished second this season. It's so difficult to sit there, I think, and justify making a roster change at that point. If the results weren't there, that's one thing, but my God, they were killing it.
yeah, but there's the whole other part that we don't know of was behind the scenes, how they interacted with each other, their communication.
Yeah,
There's a whole picture that we're missing.
exactly. And that's always what I tend to say, when talking about these roster changes, is that you have to remember these guys are, working together, and they're not playing, they're working together, however many hours out of the week, every single day, grinding to be the best that you can in this game. It can get very toxic and very draining very quickly.
Yeah, definitely.
Peach Tundra mentioning in chat, Dignitas went to 4 straight grand finals and then broke up, which is true. And it's an interesting point as well. It's not to say that it's a bad thing to seek out change, but I do think this was surprising. We had always had rumblings perhaps of this, but yeah, we'll see what happens. Again, Chewy also mentioning in chat that it is very, very, very heavily rumored that Scrubkilla will be going to Mouse Sports in EU. Now, that is not yet confirmed. Scrub has said that he has, for all intents and purposes, signed with the team, and Speed came out and mentioned something that it's pretty much done except for formalities, but we can't really say that yet. For now, it's a rumor. We can only go by what is officially given to us. So, on that note, here's something that is official, also from EU RLCS. TSM has left Alpha 54 behind. Alpha 54 is no longer on the active roster for TSM. He is a free agent. Of course, that spot that seems to have opened up on Vitality seems to be the very obvious intended destination for him, wouldn't you say?
Yeah, definitely. Especially with him being French and speaking French, if they do want to switch that language over to France, if it was a communication issue with Scrub, that's definitely a possibility with that. And Alpha 54 is definitely one of the hottest players in EU right now.
Yes, this would be the second move in 2 seasons for Alpha, but I do think that obviously getting to team up with K-Dop and Fairy Peak is a no-brainer for anyone. If you get that invitation, I think you're taking it no matter who you are.
Definitely.
And that new look Vitality team, if that is the direction that they're going, again, we're assuming that they are. That is a very, very dangerous roster for EU.
It could be. We've seen that a lot in EU where rosters do look like they stack up and then they just crumble in the first few weeks.
They're always
So it's hard to say whether or not, if that is the roster, if they'll do well.
Yeah, there always seems to be that transition period for these teams. Like you said, they'll drop games early to teams that they probably shouldn't, and then they look sort of out of sorts. I mean, Vitality alone is a great example of that, where when they first grouped up together, they were not good. They just weren't. And then they won RLCS, and then went to the grand final the next season. So, it takes a bit of a moment to get up to speed. But yeah, any other thoughts on Alpha leaving TSM and probably going to Vitality?
I think that Alpha leaving TSM is a huge downgrade for TSM. I don't think there's really any free agents except for Scrub Killa maybe, but that's looking more mouse sports side that they can really go to that'll be even close to an upgrade.
Yeah, that is a good point. You know, when they seem to play together with Remco, I always thought Remco sort of looked a little bit too slow almost for the level of competition he was playing in, but apparently he's going to get to stay because they don't have a choice now with the 2/3 rule. You know, if Alpha's out, Remco has to stay.
Yeah, that is true.
But we'll be monitoring that situation. We will see what happens. In the meanwhile, a lot has been removed from mouse sports. This is the only official part that we know, but it is widely assumed that the reason that this move has been made is to make room for Scrub Killa.
I can't say I really agree with this. I get that Scrub is the best free agent out there right now, and you do want to pick him up. But after their season, I figured they would have stuck together.
Yeah, they looked really good for most of EU, but they did miss out on LAN, which is a big deciding factor, I think, for a lot of teams, you know, as a measure of how well your season has gone. Not making LAN seems to be the stake in the ground where people say this isn't good enough.
That is true, but we've seen it with Cloud9. They've stuck together for well over 1,000 days now, which is what, 3 years?
Just over 3 years, yeah.
Yeah, they, despite even coming, seventh place this season, they're still sticking together. And next season, we're probably going to see them back at LAN.
Yeah, C9 is an interesting one as well because again, there were so many rumors and topics swirling around. It looked like they were trying out people other than Torment. Torment, of course, then tweets out, "I'm not going, I'm staying." They announced the same roster. G2 doing something similar where they announced that they're keeping their roster. So at least for those two, they'll be sticking with it. But again, for a lot, I don't know. I think you have to get the talent when it's out there,
Yeah.
Because how many more times you think are they going to be able to be in a position to say, well, here's a free agent who is one of the best players in the world and he can go anywhere. Let's get him signed up. I don't think that situation happens very often, if ever.
That is true, but it's also a huge risk doing that after having a good season and then just having one bad day in regionals.
Yeah, that's a good point, because they finished just outside top 2, didn't they? They were something along the lines of one game off of finishing in second place.
I think they lost their last 3 series in league play.
Yeah,
to come 3rd or 4th, and then they bombed out of regionals.
Yeah, it's a vicious cycle, losing at the end there,
Yeah.
The one thing I'll miss from Mouse Sports is their team comms videos. Those were so good. Let's fucking go, Speed.
Yeah, those were pretty great.
But yeah, Cucks, Scrub, and Speed, that's kind of nice. When you look at it again on paper, that's kind of nice.
Yeah, on paper, it's definitely a great team that could stack up to the top of EU.
They sure could. So again, we're going to be moving through the rest of this year. That pretty much covers it for EU for now. Again, there's only so much information that we can report as official. But moving on to actually a different region altogether. Still RLCS though. We'll be looking at South America. Low-Key Esports dropped their roster. I was very surprised by this, considering that they've made LAN, and I thought they did as well as they could at LAN.
Yeah, I was also really surprised by this. I'm assuming that they're just leaving Rocket League altogether, because Loki was probably the best South American team there was.
Yeah, and I wonder again, it's a pretty significant financial investment to pay RLCS teams. Now, I don't know if RLCS teams in South America are getting paid at the same level as North America and EU. I'm assuming they are not, but it can get very expensive very quickly to pay those salaries.
Definitely, and especially with them continually improving themselves and showing themselves at LAN as being a much better team than they were last season, the demand would definitely go up.
Yeah, Chewy again saying in Twitch chat, from what I saw on Twitter, it appears low key is shutting down. So there you go. That would be the reason. But they will almost certainly get picked up.
I hope so.
Because again, it can be tough, even for RLCS players, if you're not signed by an organization, not having that guaranteed salary, it's a huge loss. I mean, these guys, these professionals, especially at the highest level, the org salaries are pretty good for people who are, again, generally around 18, 19 years old-ish, competing full-time in these leagues. Salaries are pretty good, and to lose that is hard. But yeah, any final thoughts on low key there, Dino?
Nope.
All right, so we're going to again. That pretty much covers our RLCS roster stuff. We didn't cover everything. There's still a ton of rumors swirling around. I just don't want to spend the time to go through every single rumor and alleged move. This is purely what has been officially recognized so far, and we will see what happens for RLCS. But we're going to jump down to the rival series now, and we will be looking at the North American rival series first. So Bull Send has rebranded to Monkey Business. They have removed Dino, and they have added Aeon, who, as we all know, was kicked from RBG upon their promotion into RLCS. How do we feel about this one?
I think this is a huge step up for Bullsend. Massive. Probably right now stacked up to be the best RLRS roster.
You think they're that good, huh?
I think on paper they're that good.
Because Aeon has demonstrated that when he's on point, he can be an impact player even from what's considered a support role. He's still fundamentally a very good player.
Definitely, without a doubt.
And I'm also happy for Aeon too that he that he has a spot guaranteed for now, at least. It may not be RLCS, but at least he landed somewhere, and seemingly on a good roster. And so actually we'll follow up on this. So again, Bullsend has removed Dino. That roster is, again, it's Aeon, Com. Who's the other one? Oh my god. Stokely, thank you. Yeah. That's pretty solid. But we will look again. I know we had it on here somewhere because
it's further down.
Yeah, again, we have a huge list here. So Dino has indeed moved to a different team. He has teamed up with Malachus and Austin to form Brooklyn. They will be competing to get into RLRS this season. So they're officially what we would call a bubble team. I think this is a pretty strong bubble team.
I would have to agree, but Malachus and Austin both have really bad history with RLRS plans. So yeah, this is definitely a team that I'm going to keep my eye on, but not necessarily expect them to make it all the way.
Yeah. I've personally played with Malicus before. I know how nuts he is. Um, yeah, it'll be interesting, but I agree that they haven't had the history of doing well in those qualifiers. It is such a difficult process to go through to try and fight through all those teams on one day. You know, it's such a grind, and it's
It
almost
really
throwing the
is.
dice in a sense, you know. But yeah, good luck to Dino there. You know, it would be kind of unfortunate, you know, to be bounced out of your RLRS team and then not make it back through. Um, so here's hoping they can do that, at least for his sake, you know.
Yeah.
But we are going to jump into the next piece here. So, Full Metal Gaming has dropped their Rocket League roster. The team goes back under the nefarious name. And with that move as well, because it's the same roster, Jay Wismont has joined Nefarious and Turin Turo has been removed. I don't know how I feel about this one. I think this is sort of a lateral move at best.
This is definitely a downgrade for Nefarious. I don't. I'm assuming that this is Turin's decision and that he has an offer from a different team, because I definitely say Turin Taro is the top 3 player in RLRs last season.
He popped off this season.
He did. He was ridiculous.
Yeah, and again, I was thinking when I saw this that he has to be going somewhere. I agree with you. Do you think it's possible he goes up into the RLCS?
It's definitely a possibility. I would definitely put him up there with the likes of Mist and Memory and First Killer as players that could take those last spots.
I know, it's just so intriguing to me because, again, as we said earlier, this is such a strong free agent class that to try and make this move now, you know, with all those other names coming up, it seems like a huge roll of the dice. I hope he has something locked up already,
I hope so too.
because otherwise you're just sticking your neck out there, and seems like a lot. But for Jaywiz, I think it's a good move. You know, I don't think teaming with Karma and Shadow was really going to be viable for too much longer. I think we have seen sort of the peak. You know, I don't think they will ever, you know, at least with Karma and another third, I don't think they'll go back into the RLCS. I think for Jaywiz, this seemed to be the right time to make that transition.
I'm not entirely sure I agree with that. I think that if they stuck together this season as well, I could see them making RLCS. I don't see them staying in RLCS, but I could definitely see them doing what Splice has done before and make it and then drop that season. But I do agree that the potential for the Nefarious roster now is definitely higher than overall if he stuck with Charlotte.
Yeah, exactly. Again, really the benefit of sticking with Charlotte was that you were going to get paid, you know?
Yeah.
Because at least they have an established organization. You know, getting dropped by FMG, you know, you're kind of just waiting and hoping that someone's going to reach out and pick you up, you know? They should get signed, though. I mean, that's still...
It's an RLRS team. So I wouldn't be too surprised if they went unsigned for a few weeks, but I'm assuming by the end of the season they'll be picked up.
Again, we will have to wait and see. But yeah, anything else you want to add on to this move here? Or are we good to go on?
Good to go.
All right. So our next piece, again, we're looking at EU over here. This is EU RLRS. Breezy, Greasy Meister, and Ixo are teaming together under the name We Dem Girls. I don't know how I feel about this. Or excuse me, they're not RLRS. They'd be trying to qualify, yes?
Yeah, they're trying to qualify.
Yeah, I don't know if that team makes it.
I think that on paper, they're definitely a team that is more than qualified to make it to RLRS, but I'm not sure with Greasy having declined so much in the last few seasons and with EXO's record of narrowly missing out season after season that this is going to really work out for any of them.
Yeah, I just look at it and I just think, I don't know, it seems like they could be okay, but I don't see them being anything more than okay for me personally, you know?
Yeah, like if they do end up making RLRS, I don't see them being a team that is going to be fighting for that RLCS spot. I think they're going to have to fight hard to keep their spot in RLRS, and even then, it's still unlikely.
Yeah, I don't think you're going to be able to breezy flick your way all the way into RLCS, you know?
You never know.
True, you don't know, but I think there's only limited upside to this roster. It from a gameplay perspective, it seems like, okay, Breezy, EXO, go nuts, Greasy, just hold it down in the back. You know what I mean? Yeah. I don't think that style really works, especially in today's frenetic style of play in the RLRS. I just don't see that being viable.
Yeah, I don't see it being very viable either. But
we'll see, right? That's the only thing we can say, is that we shall see. And so again, this is more we're going to start looking, this is more bubble teams now. So these are teams that are looking to get together to obviously make the climb into RLRS. Do we know when the dates are for roster lock?
Yeah.
Did we look that up?
It's the 18th.
The 18th. Okay, so there's still
10 days.
10 days to figure this out, but we do already have a lot of information regarding who is teaming together, and I'm going to be sort of relying on you a little bit for this stuff, because I recognize a lot of these names, but I'm not totally familiar with all of them. So I think your opinion will be much more appreciated than mine on a lot of this stuff. But regardless, here we go. So again, this is North American bubble scene. So Avidity Esports are going to keep ZPS. They're dropping Astro and Alpha Cap. They're picking up Skills and Sosa. Avidity is a team that I watched during our tournament, the Takeoff. I thought they were playing pretty well.
Well, this is a different roster. So that team was all right. They were originally under Noble Esports a few months back before the last plans, and then they split up. I'm not really sure as to why they got back together. The roster lasted less than a month. I wasn't too sure about that, but I do think that the Skills and Sosa pickup is definitely a strong pickup. I think that this team is definitely going to put up a strong fight, and they're probably the best team right now for North America bubble to make it to RLRS.
Yeah, I agree that when I look at the names here, I definitely see the promise. But we're going to have to look and see who else can make that title. Again, Chewy in chat saying 72 PC the best team. I don't know. Neo disagrees with him on that opinion.
I strongly disagree with that as well. But
yeah, I think so. Again, that's the roster with Lion Blaze, Jacob, and I forget who the Demo. Thank you. Yes. Yeah, I've seen them. Again, I'm fortunate that I was able to participate in this year's edition of the Takeoff, so I could actually see a lot of these teams in action. But from what I saw, they're so inconsistent at times. They seem really excellent, but then I think their defense lets them down in other places. But that's just me.
Yeah, I don't think that. Same goes for last season. I don't think that they should have been as predicted as they were to make it. they're definitely a strong team that can definitely upset those top teams, but I don't know if consistency wise they're good enough to actually perform at that level.
Yeah, and again, it's so hard too with the bubble scene because of the fluidity of the rosters, how often teams make changes and stuff. It's difficult to keep results strung together and to really have a have a team that can go out and really illustrate and you say, "Oh, these guys are 100% a lock." I don't think anyone is ever a lock ever to make it into RLRS with just the format and how it goes. I think it's so much of a roll of the dice. It's hard to get in.
For the most part, I do agree, except there is one team I think this season that is a lock,
Oh yeah?
but outside of that, yeah.
Who do you think's the lock?
The roster of Calyx, Burrito B, and a lot.
Yes, and we can actually talk about them for a little bit. So this team was made um after a lot was dropped from Mouse Sports. Again, this is for EU. Um that I agree actually seems like a lock. If there was anyone close,
Yeah,
it would be these guys because that team looks
without a
crazy on
doubt.
paper.
They really do.
Um Interesting move from a lot though, I think, to not go for an established team, You do, I mean, we're talking about, oh, this team's as close as you can get to a lock, but nothing's ever guaranteed. I was surprised that he didn't take a guaranteed spot.
That is true, except I could definitely see why with Bluey most likely to method. I'm not sure that you really want to take a gamble and stick another season in RLRS when you can get two other players, go through qualifiers that you think you have a strong chance of making that top 2 spot.
Yeah, and that's true. Again, we didn't really touch on the Bluey to method thing isn't confirmed yet, so we didn't really,
Yeah,
want to touch
but
on that. But yeah, if that is the case, most of these guys, I have to assume, especially if you are current or former RLCS, are very well connected as to what is going on with all the different rosters, much so than anyone on the outside. So you have to think that he's making the best decision with the information that he has as compared to what we have.
yeah, definitely.
But we will, again, continue to move it on here. Our next roster is it's an interesting one, certainly. We have Classics, Astro, and Alpha Kep. They are teaming together under the name Randy Gibbons River Rats. I don't see this team making it. Do you?
I'm just hoping that Alpha and Astro knew what they were doing when they signed up with Classics. Like, those two are definitely RLRs capable. I don't see them being like, top 2, top 4 RLCS level. But I feel like Classics is definitely not the third to go with.
Yeah, well, he's been out of the scene for a while now. I question the desire and the commitment that he has to the game at this point.
Yeah, definitely. After he took that break after being removed with that whole EG situation.
Yeah, and we haven't really seen him play since that. I don't even know if he's still good. It's hard to really say. It was that long ago.
He's been out of it too long to really get a good sense of what this team is capable of.
I mean, maybe he's been secretly grinding the game, and he's racked up crazy hours and he's that much better as a player, but that is the absolute best case. Odds are that is not the case. And this feels like I don't know. It almost feels like a meme team in a sense. I mean, the name is a meme in its own right.
Oh yeah. Yeah, definitely. I feel like any roster that Classic is on is kind of a meme team.
Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to disagree with you, but yeah, just certainly an interesting piece of news. It would be fascinating if they made the rival series, but I don't see it happening.
I hope not. I can't imagine Corelli or Stex having to use that name in the middle of a series. I don't want to see that.
Again, I don't think we will, but
I don't think we will either.
you never know. So again, our next piece here, this is T. Carell, Hato, and Zol. They have teamed up together. They are Team Revelation. Same thing. I think Hato Zolhe could be good. I don't know if T. Carell is ready yet.
I don't know if T. Carell's ever going to be ready. I feel like his mindset has been keeping him back for the last 4 or 5 seasons. I think he's at the 1 seed 2 or 3 times now. Hasn't ever made it.
Yeah, it's hard because the talent I think is there with him. You know, when he's on,
Definitely.
You know, when he's on, he's there. But I don't know if it's just a pressure thing or if it's just a purely like a psychological thing. But it just seems that he never can get that last push that he needs to get into the RLRS.
Without a doubt. I'm not sure with Hato and Zol either that this is really gonna work out. Hato has been out of the scene for a while now. Solheim hasn't really been doing anything recently, so it's definitely a team that can upset, but I'm not sure that they're really gonna be a team that can make that final stride to RLRS.
Yeah, again, this is one that I think is notable because of the names on it, but in reality, I just don't see them making it too far. But we'll see, right?
Yep.
And so this is another intriguing piece here, and I'm going to mention these next two together back to back because that's seemingly how long this team lasted. Dude with the Nose, Pirates, and Malachus formed Team Invicta, and less than 24 hours later, Team Invicta disbanded.
I think this is probably my favorite offseason roster move.
Unlucky, really, I think is the word.
Very unlucky.
Yeah, because Trevor, or Dude with the Nose, came out and tweeted, Pirates, Malachus, to make a roster. Again, on paper, it doesn't look that bad. All talented players. Trevor's a questionable case, but, him, Pirates, Malachus, I could see them doing something.
Yeah.
But then Trevor put out a great tweet. I'm going to go find it right now because it was really
It was a
funny.
fantastic tweet.
It was I'm just looking it up on my phone at the moment. I have a computer right in front of me. Why am I looking at it on my phone? God.
I don't know.
Don't you hate to see that?
Only a little.
Only a little. God, I didn't have to log in. See, this is why I was going to look at my phone. I didn't have to log in. What? Wrong password. Unlucky. Oh, because I entered the wrong username. Jeez.
Yeah, that might do it.
Yeah. You get stuck on your name and password and all that. And
maybe the phone was the better option.
Maybe. Well, too late. I already committed to doing it on PC. So we're gonna find it. Yes. Okay. So 2 days ago, have scrims set for 8, and I find out at 7:30 that my team no longer exists. Very cool. Thank you, Trevor. It's just... And then in addition, he just said, "Sorry, bro. I guess it fucking be like that somehow." Yeah. Unlucky, really, with that one, but only so much you can do. It'll be interesting to see if he tries to find another team. I don't know how interested he really is in trying to get back to RLRS. I don't know how seriously he's taking it.
Well, I'm assuming Malachus and Pirates were taking it pretty seriously because I know Pirates is trying to get back in a while, and Malachus does seem like he wants to start playing again after taking on that coach role for Bull Send and a sub for PK.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm sure that he's at least a little bit motivated, but yeah, I'm not too sure after that he's really going to want to stick with it.
Yeah, I don't know. It's always, this is always a rough time of year for the bubble scene because you see these moves happen very, very quickly, and people are just kind of throwing rosters against the wall and seeing what sticks. But yes, so actually, we'll jump on. I know there's a related piece of news to that because Malekith, didn't he form another team? I'm looking at our list.
We already went over it.
See?
Dino, Austin, and Malekith.
That's right, yes, because we popped that from earlier. So, another piece that we already touched on. So again, 72 piece connector, or 72 pin connector. I always say piece. 72 pin connector. That is Jacob, Demo, Lion Blaze. That is their roster for RLRS. How do you think, or let me rephrase my question. Do you think that they get in?
No. I really don't. I see them upsetting a few top teams, and then I see them end up losing to a team like the Zookeepers. Just one of those dark horse teams that nobody's really expecting to get in, that can perform well, and they're going to let their guard down, and they're going to end up getting dropped.
Interesting. Well, again, we have a few more pieces here, and we only have 13 minutes, so I kind of want to get them out of the way. I know less about these rosters, so you're going to have to help me out. So this is Alex161, Blurry, and Ocelon. They are teaming to form Three of a Kind.
Okay, I don't know a whole lot about a lot of these players. I know Alex was in RLCS on Mouse Sports back in season 6 and 7, I think.
Yes.
Could be wrong. It was sometime around then. Blurry's been an EU bubble player that hasn't ever broken through to RLRS or RLCS. Ocelon has been around for a really long time.
Right? That's the name that I recognized on this. I was like, man, Ocelon, I feel like he's been playing this game forever.
Yeah, it definitely does feel like that. Namely, I think he was on Method in RLCS season 7 and 6, and then Underwater Squad this season as well. So definitely they have the experience outside of Blurry, but it's definitely a team to watch.
And again, that's on the European side.
Yes.
All right, next team. This is Deep Space. This team is composed of Brendan, Absorbent Karma, and I don't know how to say the last one. Is that Deck XP?
It is.
Okay. All right. I'm glad I got that right.
This isn't a team that I really expect to, even be a contender to make it through, but they're definitely a team like Zookeepers were last season that can definitely take down some of the top teams. Brendan notably was on that frontline roster last season that missed out by 1 or 2 series. Deck XP has been a player that's just been on bubble team after bubble team after bubble team and hasn't really done much. And Absorbent Karma hasn't, I'm not going to say that he's not done anything, but like RLRS wise, he hasn't really made it too close, but he's probably the best Mexican player there is out there. So there could be Mexican representation this season. But
yeah, have we ever had a Mexican player in the RLCS?
Nope.
Right?
This would be the first opportunity.
Because Miho's American, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
So that would be interesting. Definitely a cool note there. But yeah, I don't know what to expect from these guys. So again,
yeah.
Phrase of the segment. We'll see. All right, next up on the list, Delta, Toasty, and Infinite form Business. Are we all about
It
their business or no?
kinda. We visit their business periodically.
Okay. Okay.
Infinite is former RLRS player. He played under upper 90. He's definitely been up there at that level. They obviously haven't really done well at that level. Toasty's been around for a while as well. Definitely made some huge upsets in the bubble scene. Delta used to play for Loaf Bread Sports. They're all definitely very good players, but as to their potential, I'm not sure that they're RLRS level, but they could definitely make it deep.
That's interesting. We'll have to keep an eye on their business, I guess,
Yeah.
I'm going to make as many puns about that name as I possibly can, just so you know.
Yeah, I figured.
But moving on to our next one, this is Absolute Leverage. Wanda Mike is joining Rodoko and Kinze. That one's intriguing to me because there's at least some name recognition on this roster.
This is another roster like Avidity that I definitely expect to make it through. Or if not, make it 1 or 2 series off. They're definitely one of the best bubble teams right now.
Yeah, that looks like a strong roster to me.
Yeah, without a doubt. They've been doing well in tournaments and the skirmish and the G-Spot Invitational, so I wouldn't be surprised if they end up making it through.
Good to know. And then again, we have 3 more we're going to touch on because we're making sure we put all of them in today. We have Joe Freshness, Luke, and Murphy form Omelet. Weird name choice, but okay.
Yeah, I have no idea about the origin of that name, but they're also a team that I expect to make it into RLRS alongside Absolute Leverage. Joe Freshness obviously has been in RLRS the last 2, maybe 3 seasons.
Yeah, I know.
Luke is a player that I'm surprised that they went with. I mean, he's not a bad player, but really, he played for SUP last season, made top 24. Outside of that, he doesn't really have any notable results. He's rank X in 6-mans, so there's that, but outside of that, he's not too well known. And then Murphy I'm not sure if he rebranded back to Chicken or not, but he was Chicken, and now he's Murphy. And then I think he might have rebranded back to Chicken. I'm not entirely sure.
Interesting. That always makes it more difficult.
It really does. He played for Avidity last season. They were 2 series off with Percy and not Insol. I'm forgetting his name.
I'm not going to be able to help you.
On that roster.
Gotcha.
And they were 1 or 2 series off.
And then we have another food-based team name. We have Stromboli here, which consists of J-Pow, Andy, and Alraz.
Andy and Alraz were on frontline alongside Brendan, who we talked about earlier on Deep Space. They're probably another team that you can expect to make it far, kind of like 72 pin, but not necessarily make it all the way. J-Pow is definitely a good third for them, however. And they've definitely been putting up decent results. So they're definitely one that we want to keep our eye on.
And our last team that we will look at, Tally, JD, and Faded form Dream. I admittedly do not know anything about this team whatsoever.
I know probably too much about this team, to be honest.
Oh, really?
Faded, actually all of them have been around in the bubble scene for a really long time. Faded's an alright player. Same with JD. JD's actually definitely been on the rise lately. Tally's definitely a player that I consider to be at top RLRS level. She definitely has the potential to be up there, but season after season, she hasn't been able to make it. And I really don't see this team being the team that she makes it with either. So
that would be interesting. She would be the only other female professional outside of Karma, right?
Yep.
Yeah, we haven't again seen any representation on that front. So for that reason, it would be interesting. But as you said, I don't know if we can expect them to actually go that far.
Yeah, I could definitely see them being a team that makes some upsets against some top teams, like maybe an early one against Avidity, but I don't really see them being able to break through.
Ooh, I'm amazed that we actually managed to talk about all of these different teams and their rosters.
I didn't think we could do it in under an hour.
I I'm genuinely pretty impressed. What helps, I guess, is that I'm not as familiar as you are with the bubble scene teams,
Oh
especially.
yeah, no.
That's where I struggle because there's only so much I can keep up with. I don't know how you do it, to be honest.
I couldn't tell you. I have no clue.
But I do appreciate, however, your insight and knowledge on these teams because without you, I would be very, very lost. I can tell you that.
Probably saying there in chat that the third for Percy and Chicken was Innocence. That's the player that I was thinking of that missed out last season.
See, look, even chat helps us out. You love to see that. You really do. So we are just under an hour. I don't think we have time to go into our freewheeling segment because that could probably be an hour and it's in its own right.
Definitely. No, unless we wanted to go 2 hours, but I don't think that's a good idea.
For the first episode back, I'm not entirely trying to do a 2-hour episode.
Yeah.
We were talking about lately, the bubble scene tournaments, why a lot of them have closed down. And there's been some really good discussion. If you follow the professionals on Twitter or if you are in tune with the Rocket League Esports subreddit, you've probably already seen this. I don't really want to dig too deep into it, but it's one of those cases where there's only so much organizers can do at a certain prize level without having external funding that forces a lot of these closures that people have been talking about for these tournaments. Thankfully, here at Playing with Rockets, we should be okay. We will continue to offer our weekly tournament for North America, and we will see about adding others, right?
Yep.
Because that's about as much info as we can give. But if you're looking for weekly tournaments to play in, you can follow us on Twitter at PWR Leagues and join our Discord. And we host weekly tournaments North America 3v3, $75 every week. And yeah, you can go out with your buddies and see if you can hold up with the best of the best that's out there in the bubble scene. Eldino. Yeah. Any last closing thoughts whatsoever about anything that we have talked about?
Nope.
I like that. Straight to the point. Are there any plugs or socials that if people want to stay in tune with you, where can we find you?
Oh, you're going to make me look at my Twitter.
Sorry.
I don't know off the top of my head what my Twitter is. It is at J. Oh my. Okay, real quick. One last roster move.
Oh boy.
It just formed 6 minutes ago. J-Bot, Spider, and Pirates form Enigma.
There you go.
Last roster move. We're not doing any more.
That actually okay, but real quick. That actually sounds pretty solid.
Yeah, no, it's definitely a good team. J-Bot is definitely a strong player. I'm not sure about Pirates anymore because he has been out of it for a while. Spider's also a really good player, so they definitely are a team that could make it through.
All right, and what's their name again?
Enigma.
Okay, all right. We'll add it in the post notes here. But really quickly,
yep.
What is your Twitter handle as we're getting information on the way out?
At J_Eldino.
Awesome. And again, guys, thank you so much for joining us tonight. It has been a great show. Once again, be sure to follow us here on Twitch so you can stay up to date with us as we go live every week. We will be uploading this episode later onto YouTube and to your podcast service of choice for anyone who is not here. My name is Perino. You can find me here on Twitch. That is twitch.tv/Perino. Or you can follow me on Twitter at Perino TV. Guys, this has been Around the Scene presented by Playing with Rockets. I am Perino. That is my good friend Eldino. And it has been our pleasure to have you with us. Thank you so much and enjoy the rest of your day. Peace out, everyone.